Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be a welcome for the next hours. Guys, you are guaranteed to have an amazing time. Everyone always has fun whenever my guest is around. She is always 5 seconds away from yelling or 5 seconds from having finished yelling. It is America's mom, and I am very privileged to be able to call her mom, and she calls me stupid and says I shouldn't quit my day job. It is the one and only legend, Roseanne Barr. Roseanne, I have so much to talk to you about.
I
And
know.
be-
Hi, I love you. I miss you.
I did so. We were going to. I don't know if Jake. So me and your son Jake, who's your producer in your podcast, we've been plotting behind your back.
I
So
know. I found out.
okay, so we were gonna do a Halloween episode together, and this was gonna be one of the great privileges of my life because you're the one, people don't realize this, who made adults dressing up for Halloween a thing on your show. You kind of popularized that. Then that didn't happen, and you got busy. You take care of your daughter. We'll talk about that in a second. So now we're thinking we're doing it in January, so it'll be really, really fun. Before we get to your second favorite topic, probably politics, we're going to talk about your favorite topic, which is you.
Oh,
So yeah, when I first started out uh, being an author, I knew I couldn't be great. So what I did is I spent a lot of time studying bad writing and trying to figure out why does this suck and how I would fix it. So if I could be competent, I'd be like at the 90th percentile. Now I'm further along, so I could study people who have accomplished, like yourself, legend, and like, okay, what makes this lady tick? And how can I learn from her? And you have so many contradictions. It's just really fascinating. I know before you got started as a comic, you worked in this feminist bookstore, and feminism obviously very much informed your career and your work. Like my biggest role model, Camille Polly, always said that men are like one thing, but women are complex and have lots of different personae inside them. Do you think that's accurate?
I do. Yeah. I kind
Okay.
of like her sometimes.
What don't you like about her?
Uh, I was flabbergasted at how much she loved Madonna's schlock.
Oh yeah, and she liked Kamala for some reason. I don't understand it.
It's the lesbian witch thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love how matter of fact. That's the thing. People, what's when people ask me what it's like hanging out with you, you're even more Roseanne in real life than you are on camera.
Yeah, I had to clean it up for TV.
So what I wanted to ask you, so you are both like extremely humble, but also like an egomaniac at the same
Yeah.
time. But it's
Yeah.
like, are you an egomaniac? If someone says to Einstein, "Who do you think you are, Albert Einstein?" That doesn't really make sense. Like you've earned the ego, with your accomplishments, but you're also so sweet and caring. I know you were. Let's talk about feminism in one sense. You're taking care of your daughter. She had to have surgery. What does motherhood mean to you? Because that is so central to feminism and being a woman.
Yeah. It's one of the things that disgust me about today's feminists. They forgot that shit. But because they're so interested in getting rid of women. But yeah, everything's about the mother. I mean, that's how we all get here. We all come here through a mother. And the fact that you carry a kid and give birth to it is a mind-blowing thing, especially once you are in the act of giving birth. You can feel your brain downloading all this information, which it already started to download the minute you realized you were having a baby, but just something else takes over, something very cosmic, and suddenly you're evolving new organs of perception. And then when you give birth, it's just something so incredible and so mystical and expansive, and it informs everything you do thereafter. There isn't a second where it isn't central. And so that's something that should be known and shared with humanity, because those are all, for one thing, I say you become a we instead of an I.
Okay, yeah.
And that's like Martin Buber-esque. And so I always like to think about that and write about that. And plus being Jewish, we have matriarchal are a mother-based family, and in fact, we trace our ancestry through our mother. And because who knows what fucking Joe your dad was,
Right.
Jewish women, we get around. But
Oh,
so it makes sense. And plus the invading Cossacks and Mongols and Germans and such, Romans, Hellenists. You never know. But anyway, so it just was always very uh, indigenous to me anyway. So, I just think it's a really powerful thing to be. And I think that we're in the age of the woman. And, all cyber was replicated on the way a woman's mind operates, because with the we, it's very um, circle-ish, circles within circles, everything connected, um, not linear,
yeah,
not
that's right. Men are
not
very
yeah,
focused, where women can
yeah,
multitask much easier. Yeah.
yeah, and not if blah, 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 then blah, blah, blah. No, it's more chaotic, but it has, uh, great meaning in the middle of it, and a very cohesive thing about we. You're not just thinking for yourself, you're thinking for your offspring, your husband, your extended family. It's tribal. And we're connected to that, as well as the moon itself and cycles, circles.
So one of the things that people might not realize about you, and I want to talk to you about this because this is something that many women go through, and I am very curious what it's like. You had your first kid, you gave her up for adoption, right?
Uh,
And you knew you were going to give her up for adoption. You were just a kid, right?
uh,
What was that like? I mean, that must be traumatic in the extreme.
yeah, it was very traumatic in the extreme, but um, I always have a faith and a trust in higher intelligence, a higher creator, and so I was with a very um, vetted Jewish parent and children's services, and so I knew she was going to get a really good home. And I knew I couldn't do it. I was a teenager, and with no real talents but telling jokes, and you know that didn't go so well in a humorless culture like Salt Lake was. But uh, I went to Denver to have her, and I got to keep her with me for 3 days, and then she went for adoption to a wonderful family. And but when they came to get her, I said to her in my arms there, I said, "Well, I'll see you when you're 18." And I just knew I always would. And that's why I kept my name Roseanne Barr, which was on her birth certificate. And I hoped that she would, when she was 18, come and find me. And I wanted to be famous so she could find me easily. And so she was 17 and a half, and it was like made real, earlier than I thought it would happen, because I was famous, and the National Enquirer uncovered that whole story, which I found out later because, oh, I won't even go into that. But someone that I was sleeping with, Tom Arnold, uh, he sold that story.
Oh,
And anyway, whatever.
really?
Yeah,
Hold on. Wait,
what
I
happened?
want to pause here. I mean, look, obviously, you and Tom are very famous, very tumultuous relationships, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure some of it's your fault, some of it's his fault, whatever. But like that's pretty low if a kid's involved.
Um, well, Tom's a Democrat, so I need to say no more.
I think that's pretty low by Democrat standards, don't you?
Not these days.
Okay, maybe not these days, but this wasn't these days.
Yeah, this wasn't these days, but
Wow.
he was a portend of things to come for
Okay,
that.
sure. Oh, that's awful.
But no, there's nothing they won't do for money.
Sure, sure.
But Anyway, so we
Oh,
met
gotcha.
we met then, and, we arranged it all, and, it was just about 6 months earlier than I thought it would be, and it was great, and now she's 52. So, that flew by, but, I got her and shared her with her other family that I loved, and still her father's still alive, and,
Oh,
loved him. Her mother just passed, but, I called her my baby mama, and, just things heal up and grow, and, you're always there for your kids no matter where they are. And, she came back and now she's got a kid and he's pretty fantastic. He's a soccer star there in his high
oh,
school. And you know what they call him? This is so awesome.
what?
The Jewish boot,
I
which is
like that.
cool. Yeah.
So, the whole time she was away, did you constantly think about her? Is this something that you
Oh,
repressed?
yeah. It was like all these parents with missing children. It was just
Okay,
like
well,
that. Well, you wonder where they are and if they're okay, and, you don't know where they are or anything about them, because they, at that time, made you sign away all your rights,
yeah,
in order to get them adopted, and I had said, "Do I get to know when she starts school?" "No, you will know nothing." And that was your choice, there was no other choice. And then, later on, adoptees and adoptive parents and birth parents changed those laws, which I think is, it's more humane because we all wanna know where we came from, but, of
yeah, of
course,
course.
a lot of people find out they had horrible parents that did horrible things to them, but, they still wanna know, everybody wants to know how they grew.
Of course.
But she's a wonderful mother and a wonderful person, I have to say she's a lovely, lovely person, and she would be a dear friend if she wasn't just my daughter. She is a friend, but, I mean, I really admire her as a person and a mom and a wife. She's cool, and she's a fucking Democrat. She's one of the good ones, though.
One of the things I go back and thought about your show, and one thing you kept saying when the show was on, that you're doing things with television that people aren't going to realize for decades. And it sounded like, okay, this is Hollywood blowhard stuff. But I looked back and it just clicked how right you were. And in one specific regard, before your show, corporate media doesn't like anything to be messy or dirty or gross, right? So if you have an ugly person on TV, it's like Dawn Wells, Marianne and Gilligan's Island, who is like a supermodel 10, but she's supposed to be the ugly one, like human perfection, right? And if you
Mhm.
had poor people, their houses would be nice. It wouldn't be like like a crack in the wall. It'd be very nice and tidy, unless you're like Sanford and Son, where he's literally living in a junkyard. Did you have
Well, and the honeymooners and,
right?
All in the Family, I mean, they showed some real glimpses of actual life.
Yeah, but it wasn't to the level that your show did, where it's just like, you know what? It sucks not being able to pay these bills. And like you have to, do these kind of shenanigans just to make it through to the next month. Was this something that you had to fight with the network? Were they trying to clean it up and make it more kind of like sterile, or did they get your vision?
No, they were appalled.
Oh, wow.
My
Yep.
sister was standing next to my own agents as we filmed the pilot, and they didn't know she was my sister. Um, but, she said that they said, "Who's gonna like this show about fat people? Ugh." Those are my agents,
Wow.
and,
Yeah.
that's just how Hollywood is.
Right.
They're all ugly toads, but they wanna see perfection on the screen, because 'cause they're ugly toads, and I guess they think it'll rub off on them when they go home that people will think they look like Suzanne Summers or something, I don't know. But none of them are really particularly attractive. Well, nowadays they are because they just hire people for their looks. But, yeah, they were appalled, and they were always trying to sanitize everything and always trying to make everybody on my show look stupid because what was in their mind is that, their disdain for the working class, which was the reason I wanted to do TV was to go, "Fuck you." and we're to go, hey, the working people are about a million times smarter than any of you. And I just got tired of seeing people played and kind of humiliated of the working class and blah blah, or fat people or women. I got tired of that sneer they have, and I
Yep.
really wanted to go in there and kick all those doors down. It was fun. That's why I fought so hard, but they made me fight rather than go, hey, here she's coming with these ideas and this character and these other characters, and she's making a lot of money for us. But like every pimp, they gotta slap a hoe down.
Uh, yeah, I do know what it's like. My pimp hand's pretty. I got my PhD degree, my pimp and hoe degree.
Hmm.
Folks, fall needs its own wardrobe that's full of comfortable coordinating pieces for a layered look with a perspective. You need warmth that's still extra breathable. You want to look good without having to think about it. And the frustration of trying to keep up with ever-changing trends and confusion in the nuances of men's fashions. Well, sports coats versus blazers, and then you got to get dry cleaned or washed. All a big pain in the butt. Let me talk about Rhone. Rhone's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and truly versatile set of products known to man. They have premium pieces to elevate every occasion, whether it's pants, dress shirts, polos, blazers. They can all be boosted with functional performance properties, and their signature technical fabrics stretch in every direction, breathe, fight odor and the elements, and effortlessly work everywhere so you can stay calm and collected even when life takes unexpected turns. The collection also features wrinkle release technology. Yes, Rhone's commuter collection is 100% machine washable. Looking good is that easy. And their Gold Fusion anti-odor technology allows for more wears between washes. You'll be fresh and clean all day long. Obviously, as someone who does a lot of these shows, I have to think about how I dress. People think you have to spend a lot of money and it's going to be a big pain in the butt. It doesn't have to be. The commuter collection works all day for you in every situation, and having it machine washable and wrinkle release means that you can rely on these staples in your wardrobe no matter what situation you find yourself in. The commuter collection from Rhone can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. So head to rhone.com/malice, RHONE.com/malice. Use promo code malice, 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/malice and use code malice. It's time to embody your most confident self. Let's get back to the show. I'm very curious also, and I've thought about this a lot. You got so much more people interested in you than your peers, like Bill Cosby, Ted Danson, Jerry Seinfeld. These are kind of your contemporaries, but people are much more interested in Roseanne as a person than they are in, let's suppose, Ted Danson as a person. Like, why do you think that is?
Um, because I'm a mess, to put it bluntly.
Okay, you think so? How are you a
Well,
mess?
because I'm loud and opinionated, and I'm not. I can't. Uh, I remember thinking this about 1,000 times. This time I'm going to learn my lesson, and then and then finally I realized, in some kind of drunken stupor or something, I realized, hey, my lesson. I get it. My lesson is that I never learned my lesson. That's what it is. Because I just sometimes it just gripes my ass. I can't listen to their bullshit any longer, and I have to say I don't say excuse me, but I blurt something out. I think I have some kind of, I'm on the spectrum of the autism thing, and I have a touch of Tourette's. Well, I just can't. Also, I have allergy to bullshit, and I really cannot stand it, and I just I just can't stand it. It's like kryptonite. And sometimes I'll hear myself saying shit and going, "Why don't you just shut up? You have a lot of bills to pay. Shut up. You got 10 grandkids, for fuck's sake." But it just will come out. I'm possessed or something. I don't know.
Okay, the fact that you're known for telling
I got
everyone.
like Sasha Fierce thing, like Beyonce says she's got that alternate reality thing. I definitely do too. It just comes out. And especially when I'm just talking, everyone's paying attention to me, and everyone thinks I'm really smart because I like to pretend I'm really smart and pretend I'm well-reasoned and a quasi-intellectual, and then just, like, fart or something. I don't know. I'm a mess.
I just love that you're Roseanne, who is known for telling everyone to shut up. Would you shut up? Has to tell herself that too.
I know. I do, but I don't listen. I'm like, "No, you shut up."
My dearest friend Steph, who I went to high school with and we're still friends, she had a period when in her early 20s when if people be on the street in New York and they'd be just talking loud, she'd be like, "Ugh, shut up." And she would tell them to shut up. And then one time a guy just barely paused, goes, "No, you shut up." And she was all excited. She's like, "Oh, okay." He put me in my place. It was like it finally happened. It was a it was a great moment for her. Do you so you've been doing stand-up dates recently. I got to see you here
Yeah,
at Capital City,
same,
which
thank you.
was a real treat. Do you feel like most alive when you're on the stage, or you feel most alive when you're just running your mouth in front of a like an interview?
On the stage.
Okay.
Uh, I just love it. That's the only safe th like, I feel like that's the only real safe place. It's the only time I really like people.
They're listening to you.
Yeah, when they're out there, chained in little chairs, and I'm up here acting the fool. No, I just love it. I always did love, performing and stuff and just pretending, I guess. But, I like making people laugh, and I love to craft a joke. I just really love doing that. And, it's been what's it been since, 1980? How long is that? 40 years?
44 years, 40 almost half a decade, half a century, excuse
Good
me.
lord, and
Yeah.
it's a muscle, the, joke thing, and boy, I really used it for those 10 years on the show. I was a I could crank them out, and, I missed it. I made my grandkids laugh and stuff and people in the family, but I missed the audience, and,
Yeah.
it's just been great to go back and reconnect with that whole thing and with comics. That's been real fun.
Yeah, busting balls backstage.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Are people I this happened with me at first. Are people still too scared to kinda, like, bust your chops because it's Roseanne Barr? Or like, I mean, I think it takes a minute for them to kind of feel comfortable because that's the one way you don't have yourself on a pedestal in that way. I mean, you love a good roast. If it's gotta be good, though, it's gotta land.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they are, I don't know. They all seem nice, which, they're very nice to me and respectful or whatever you call it. But, sometimes I wonder, if I wasn't an old lady, they wouldn't be acting all nice like that.
I
I
don't think
don't.
it really? That's the other thing, I've talked to you about this, like, a couple of times, you don't realize how people see you, that it's like, "Holy crap, it's Roseanne Barr." It's like a mystical experience. Like, you're this just figure, and you're just yourself, you've been yourself your whole life, obviously, and just because 'cause you're famous, this you're still just the same loudmouth little fat girl from Salt Lake City running her
Yeah,
mouth, except now more people are paying attention.
I'm not getting hit in the face and upside the head by my dad these days.
Did that happen?
Oh, yeah, fuck yeah. He wanted to be a comic too, and, if you he'd always be, hitting you upside the head, but, if you were funny, he'd laugh and he'd forget to hit you. So, boy, if your jokes bombed, you're fucking really gonna get.
And you
He'd really hit you hard if you told a bad joke, and because he knew you was trying to get out of getting hit, so you get hit twice as hard.
Geez, I thought Simon Cowell was a tough judge. My god, like, talk about like, some kind of that's like German training.
Yeah, it was some MK Ultra, I think, joke writing training. He was so funny though, my god, he was so funny.
Let's talk a bit about the election because I'm sure I know you were very scared, as many people were, about the future of this country. I wanna know what you were doing on election day and your thoughts as the day progressed.
Well, first of all, I wanna say I know I owe you $1,000. We made a bet because I said there wasn't gonna be no election because I thought they were gonna pull a fast one and get us into, like, some kinda war with Russia or China or Iran or something, so
Can I tell you something? I was texting with Jake, and I said getting Roseanne Connor to admit she was wrong would be a season-long storyline.
it would. It'd be the finale,
Yeah, yeah, she finally says, "Dan, you've been right this whole time."
and then I'd
I
blow
don't know
the
what I'm
house
talking
up.
about.
Remember that one Halloween show where I blew up the house?
Yes, yeah.
I'd reprise that whole deal.
Okay, yeah.
But, yeah, well, I've been sick for 10 days since I came to LA,
Oh,
and
I didn't okay.
oh, yeah, as soon as I got off the plane, I got COVID,
Right.
and I got so sick that I had to cancel, one thing with Tucker, and then it was heartbreaking. I had to cancel opening for Trump rally in Wisconsin on November
Oh my
1st.
god. Oh, that's
I
awful.
know, after, how much that meant to me, but, because I just couldn't do it, and, so on election I just ran out of gas that last few steps, and so election day, I barely could drag myself, and I fell asleep at 8 p.m., so I didn't
Oh,
even but I woke up at 1:30 a.m. to find out he had won, and,
were you
I was so
surprised?
happy. I I was happily elated
Yeah.
because you always wonder if you're right, if you have a brain, unlike the other side who always thinks they're right. And, because 'cause they're so arrogant, but, you always wonder, but you still believe and have faith, and I have faith in the American people that they got it and that they had, uh, woke up and that they knew that it was our government and that we own this government, they don't own us, and I think a switch went off, and I was so proud of them. The first thought I had when I saw they called that Trump had won was the first thought came in my head, "Fuck Disney." And then, I my eyes watered because I was so proud of the American people that they were called to service and they came and everybody did what they could do and sometimes even more. They pushed themselves. It just was fantastic. It was a people's revolution. I love it.
Yeah, I was shocked that the Republicans picked up Senate seats in Ohio. Sherrod Brown's been there for decades, and Casey's a brand name from Pennsylvania that goes back decades as well. It's knocking off these, even if it's a blue Senate in a red state, or Pennsylvania's very purple. It's very hard to get incumbents out of either party. So that was a real surprise. Kerry Lake is still possibly going to win in Arizona. They just called Nevada for the Democrats. After 2022. I was very skeptical that they were going to be able to be allowed to pull this off and people could take that as they want. What are you most hopeful about for the upcoming second Trump term, other than being competing with me to see who's going to be press secretary?
Oh, I know everybody's telling me that they want me for press secretary,
Yeah,
which is hilarious. I would do it if they asked me to. I'd love it.
you'd be great.
I'd just go out there and I could just see it. I could just vision the jokes I'd get off. But, you know,
That's a stupid question. All right, NBC. Well, that's even stupider than the first one.
no, I
What do you?
wouldn't say stupid. That's way too beneath me. I like to, as Trump says, the weave. I would say, uh I'll have to think about it, but I'd love to get a crack at some of these feminist bitches.
Where do you think feminism took a wrong turn? Do you still consider yourself a feminist too?
I consider myself, a grandmother and all that that entails, and so that's what I have to say there.
Okay. Where do you think feminism took a wrong turn, though?
Well, I was very much involved in it and,
Yeah.
fighting because it took a big old class turn, and that's when I went, fuck these fucking witches. And, it was in Denver and I saw it. And, you know, they, they factioned, the left always factions because they they hate all human life. And, so, and, because they hate themselves and they hate reality too, and they hate God. But, so they're like factioning. First faction was, race, and, but that was really class, but they called it race, but it faction because of class distinctions on, and then the big one that always happens, the anti-Semitism, that's always what ends everything. So that ended the, unity of women, and I saw that all firsthand for myself. But yeah, they chose corporatism and their careerism over, the majority of the women in the world. They could give a shit. Those are their servants.
Were you a fan of, what were your thoughts about Andrea Dworkin?
Loved. But, uh I loved her writing, and, I was pretty much, her ideological twin,
You were
except for,
anti-pornography too?
yeah, in fact, oh yeah, I used to go around. We had a group called Women Against Pornography,
Yeah.
WAP. Yeah, and we also had another group, Ladies Against Women, which was, guerrilla street theater where we'd go, they'd march and they held up signs, uh, "It is unladylike to accept money for work," you know, stuff like that. And, uh, you know, it just, class always destroys every movement, especially when you never talk about class like in America, which is another reason why I wanted to go on TV and just say the words working class,
Yeah.
because on television they always said blue collar, which infuriated me because, they always want to, say this isn't a class-based
Right.
society, which of course it is. And, these last 3 elections prove that. But, I mean, to where people can't deny it anymore. And when I hear everybody say working class, even on CNN, I snicker because
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, good. But, yeah, it used to just be called blue collar.
Folks, ever notice how the days are shorter, but your to-do lists aren't? Well, you could power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals, because from breakfast to dinner and anything between, Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Whether you like routine or you like mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add to your box, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. So don't let shorter days slow you down. You can stay energized with America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. Factor lets you do you because it has 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein, or simply eat well balanced. And because their meals are chef prepared and dietitian approved, you're going to love not only how Factor's meals taste, but also how they support your goals. There's no sacrificing quality for convenience with Factor because weekly meals offer ways to treat yourself to a restaurant-like meal experience with gourmet plus dishes that feature premium proteins and seasonal sides like broccolini, leeks, asparagus. You like the sound of truffle butter filet mignon? Who doesn't? Stay in your A game with quality ingredients you can trust and quality you can taste in every one of Factor's never frozen meals that are delivered fresh. Head on over to factormeals.com/you're welcome50. That's YOUR, and use code you're welcome50. Get half off your first order and 20% off your next month. That's code you're welcome50 at factormeals.com/you're welcome50 to get half off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. They sent me some. It's great stuff, high quality at a decent price. Can't go wrong with that. Let's get back to the show. The reason I asked about Andrea Dworkin, I've got a soft spot in my heart for her. I mean, she
Oh,
was,
really?
yeah, I have her memoir. It's actually pretty funny. You would think
Yeah,
feminist,
I've
radical
read it.
feminist. It's pretty, I've got a signed copy. Anyway,
Oh, wow,
so
cool.
she, so her, there's a speech she gave at Harvard. It's kind of hard to find now. She was on C-SPAN and she was asked, this was in 96 when Clinton was running for re-election. And she goes, none of these Democratic women let us inside the convention to talk. That's okay. We took our protest to the street. They came out, all these, Democratic politicians, they addressed us, even though this is our only place. And she goes, "We know Clinton was a rapist. We know he did horrible things to women, and not one of them did anything for us. Not one. They didn't lift a single finger. They didn't care." And she goes,
Yeah.
"And I came to realize they're worthless or useless, whatever. I forget what word it was. It was very much this like very lefty, like you guys are just using we're carrying you on our backs to office, and then the second you're in there you completely turn our backs on, especially the women of the streets. Like, I don't mean hookers, I mean people who really don't have fancy apartments to hold
Yeah,
these
you mean
luncheons.
working
Yeah,
class
and
women.
poorer, yeah. So she really, I mean, I'm not a fan of her, like the extreme anti-porn, but she really was consistent, at least in her advocacy for women.
Well, I think she was right about porn because it is an insidious and a way to infiltrate. And the message of porn, um, I know everybody likes it because they're chronic masturbators, but the message of porn is pretty anti-human. It's like I mean, I can see the effect of it on just everyday people.
Oh, I
Because
agree with you there. Yeah.
you can tell when a guy, I mean, you can just see how women dress, that comes from porn, and, teenagers, that comes from porn, and the way men act like they think porn is true. They think the women in porn are what women are really like, and women think they are supposed to act like the women in porn. And, it's very insidious, and none of it is who we really are. Because in reality, we're not all chronic masturbators. We're really thinkers and creators, but, they got us that dumbed down, and it was easy to do. You know what Torah says the trouble with Jewish men, and I love this. I always talk about this when I'm talking about Torah with other Torah students. Torah says that the problem with Jewish men, this is way, way back, I think in it's in Leviticus, I think, but it says the problem with the Jewish man is that he just loves bad food and uh, slutty Gentiles, and
That's
that's
in there?
true today, huh?
That's in there?
Yeah, it doesn't say slutty, but that's what it means. But that is the weakness, and probably of all men, but porn makes that easy. And then think about the time you're sitting there choking the chicken when you could be out there learning to speak Spanish or something.
I just meant, I think her view, I agree with almost everything you said. I just meant this idea that making it illegal is something. It's not like, it's like with guns. When you try to make something illegal, it's really going to have a
Yeah, I
pernicious
do.
consequence.
I agree with you on that
Yeah.
because I thought, oh my God, that's one place where I did part ways with her because I thought, oh yeah, now you sound like a pre-fascist because
Yeah.
then they're going to shut down, the study of Torah right after the porn. You
Or
know,
I and the Comstock laws, this is how birth control used to be made illegal. You couldn't teach people how not to have kids because that was regarded as obscene. And also, it's just, I think when you make things illegal, it's gonna make the porn more hardcore. Like in Japan, it's gotten a really perverted way because it's not as socially acceptable. And I was talking about this with Matt Walsh of all people. I'm like, I don't think that that's the idea that, like, if you just snap, if one thing, if you just snap your fingers and it would go away, but if you snap your fingers, sometimes the consequences are worse than what you're going for.
well, it's a progressive addiction,
Mhm.
and first these males, I remember, they used to like uh yank it when they saw a Sears catalog with somebody showing their ankles. And then it gets like weirder and weirder,
Yeah.
like Japan. And my son went to a school with a lot of Korean math students in it. He had students from all over the world, but he said that the Korean porn was the worst porn he'd ever seen, and it cured him of porn. And I'm like, I don't even wanna know.
I thought he was getting, Mom, it's the worst porn I've ever seen. Can I borrow $50? I got I got
No, they had it in the dorms,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so he'd see it, but he was he's a normal kid, but he was like, "It's even too far for." So it's like, because they do have that crackdown there, so it has to be horrible. But, it is a progressive thing, and you have to get more and more of a thrill, like a peeping
Yep,
Tom.
exactly.
Then the next thing is to actually offend,
Yes.
by touching someone, and, it gets progressive. So I do think it rots your brain. I really do.
But I agree with, yeah, that's my yes, we're on the same page. I think, and it's something that people don't really have a good healthy conversation about, because this is a very binary thing, and it's just like this sexuality is tricky. You can't just
Now
get
it's the child porn shit is off the charts. It's being consumed in America more than any other country by, millions and millions, and, of course, they don't ever think about the children forced to be in it, or, and then there's, don't get me started, but, that all started with, uh, reading a Playboy magazine when you were 12. I mean, really. It's a soul deadening thing. I think it's a satanic thing, and it infiltrates you, and it soul deadens you, because how are you supposed to have sex with your fat wife after you know what I mean?
How often do you think Dan and Roseanne were doing it?
Well, in my mind, they were doing it all the time.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah?
twice a night and once in the morning.
Was
I
that
know.
really was that really how you approached it in your head?
Oh, yeah, because I had the, hots for my co-star there before I found out he was a big fat girl.
Yeah, yeah, right. If they ever make a Mae West biopic, you're gonna have to audition with him and see who gets it.
Oh, thank you for that book. I love
Oh,
it.
my pleasure. I knew you'd love it. It's hard
Oh,
to
I
bu
do.
it's ha so if what Roseanne doesn't know is it's hard to bu I'm someone who's like you, I collect a lot of stuff, so it's
Uh-huh.
really hard to buy presents for, and I don't know how this came up, but I know you're a huge Mae West fan. You dressed
Yeah.
as her on the cover of your CD, I Enjoy Being a Girl. We've talked about Mae West, what influence she was on you, and I saw a book that was, her autobiography signed by her, and I go, "Jake, you gotta get this. She's really gonna love it." So I knew, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I cut the coverings off. Jake said, "You shouldn't open it because it's a collector's thing," and I'm like, "I gotta read it." It's right
Yeah.
here by my bed.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so cool.
she was a great, um, boat rocker and joke writer.
My god, yeah. I mean, she broke the mold.
Yeah,
She'd
she
be
did.
controversial today, like 100 years
She would.
later.
She would. Absolutely.
Was she the first one who kinda brought, like, that level of sexuality to the mainstream? For a female to own her own sexuality wasn't a thing then.
Well, and no male had done it either, but,
Yeah,
she demystified sex, and
yeah.
she's the reason they came up with the whole rating system, because they put her in jail. They arrested her for her New York play, Sex,
Yeah,
and
you
that's
couldn't
what.
say that word. That wasn't a word that was said in polite company.
Yeah, and her, like, swanky swagger, that she said she learned that from drag queens, 'cause
Okay.
she was, like, in burlesque and all that stuff, but she brought it. Her jokes are timeless too.
What's your favorite Mae West joke?
Oh, all of them. But when they say, looked at her rings and go, "Oh my goodness," she goes, "Goodness had nothing to do with it."
Really? That's
I like that one.
you know what Dorothy Park my favorite Dorothy Parker
Oh, I
line is?
think she also made up, "Is that a gun in your pocket, or you just happy to see me?"
That's her?
Made that up, yeah.
My my favorite Dorothy Parker line is she, uh, um, missed the deadline,
Mhm.
and her telegram said, "I was too fucking busy," and vice versa.
What a brain. Oh my god, I love her too.
Yeah.
That's a great line.
Isn't that great? And that's like 100 years ago.
Oh my god, that's so great. I
Yeah.
thought of a good one. I said it the other day. I love it when I get a good thought, but I said, the Democrats, uh, they, destroyed our military and replaced it with a military.
What do you mean? Oh, I like the General Millie.
The military.
No, the funniest thing I saw you say was there was this viral photo of a woman who wasn't allowed to, an older woman wasn't
Oh,
allowed to vote in her Trump shirt, so she took it off and voted her bra, and you just replied, "That was me."
yeah, yeah. That woman is fierce.
Oh,
We all
hell
love
yeah.
her. She's a that's our grandma there. She's an honorary grandmother of our culture.
I think I forgot what are you most excited about though for this Trump term?
Oh my god, my friend Kurt
Yeah,
Metzger.
he's here.
He is? He's
Not in
with
my
you?
house, but he's in
Oh,
Austin. Yeah, yeah.
his tweet was so hilarious. He said it was to Trump, and he goes, "Trump, if you don't keep your promise of executing Liz Cheney, you will lose my support."
Wait. Do you want? Wait, I had something similar. Hold on, let me find it. I had a poll. Kurt's the best. I had a poll on my Twitter, and I said, "Which of these MAGA promises are you most looking forward to?" Number one, Cheney faces firing squad. Two, Mike Pence hanged. Trans concentration camps. Or four, he launches a nuclear war just because he's mad.
I don't think it I look for most of all, here's what I look forward to. Uh, get me I'm I just see this in my head. Get me back Vladimir on the line. Vladimir, you know, let's just end this shit. Okay. I just can't wait to see that. He calls up the fucking what's his name there in Gaza. You got to end this shit. Yes, sir. Calls up, in 2 minutes.
Did you see that Hamas, although this is kind of disingenuous, were saying we want to enter the war? They've been saying that for months, though. People, I think, are making a bigger deal of it than it is. Do you think he's going to be a better person for what's going on in Israel and in Gaza?
Oh yeah, he's gonna go. I loved what he goes. He was talking about Iran, and he goes, "I'm gonna bomb the shit out of you." It's just so great. Just like, wow, what? I mean, he'll put an end to all their bullshit. He's over it. We're all over it. We know there's no need to have these fucking wars. They're obsolete. It's just a money making proposition
Yep.
for the fucking demonics
I th-
that, fuck them. We're done with it. No more bankers fucking grifting war bullshit. Fuck you. We grew up. It's a whole new time.
the other thing is when you try to kill someone repeatedly, take his home, put his friends in jail, he's going to be a lot less likely to take your call the second time around. So
I
they
think I think they're planning something. They're getting their ducks in a row. They're doing something.
they're not dumb,
No, and they never, commies never give up.
right? Why would they?
Stop. So I think they're planning some shit. I mean, they're still there and they're still in power. So I don't know what they'll do. Probably, I hope they don't drag us into war.
Yeah, that's the big concern. Hey, folks, Michael Malice, best-selling author, Twitter douche, and Sheath underwear model, here to talk to you about the best underwear you will ever have, and that is Sheath underwear. What makes Sheath unique is their dual pouch technology. I remember the first time Sheath underwear came in the mail, and I'm like, what is this? And I tried it on because what's interesting is they have one pouch for one part of your male anatomy and another pouch for another part of your male anatomy. And you put it on and you're like, oh, okay, my underwear is holding my junk and I kind of like it. I wear Sheath every single day. It keeps you cool when it's hot outside, and it also keeps you warm, comfortable, and dry in cold environments as well. I'm telling you, after trying Sheath, you can never go back to those old tired brands. And I'm saying this as someone who's living what he practices. In fact, if you ever meet me and ask me to show you my Sheath underwear, I will call the police because we are still living in a society They also have materials like bamboo and mesh for even more cooling comfort. I designed a couple of their boxer brief options that are really terrific. They also have shirts, hoodies, all designed for maximum comfort. Go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code Malice to get 20% off. That's sheathunderwear.com, promo code MALICE for 20% off your order today. I'm speaking from experience. There's something very, very fun about being at a job interview or on a podcast and sitting there knowing that your underwear is keeping you supported. Support the underwear that supports you, and that's Sheath Underwear. Let's get back to the show. What was the big switch in your head that, because you were such a big lefty for so many years?
Yeah.
What was the switch that flicked in your head that you're like, wait a minute, these people are the devil?
Um, well, they're anti-Semitism.
That was the big one.
I was right because it happened to me over and over and over. There I was marching along with these and those and writing their shit. I wrote so many of the things they still espouse because I was high up there in the lefty thing, especially in Denver. I was very connected and political, and you know, like I said, I was in those groups and a lot more groups, and the minute they got the chance to blame everything on Jews or Israel, they did. The first chance they got. And it clicked in my head, oh, I get it. They're taking the Arab money. I knew it.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is with Angela Davis. And I knew that that's what she did. And, you can't blame them because they weren't getting it from Americans with their fucking Marxist horse shit. And, plus they never understood class because they were all college educated where you go to fill your head with shit. And I wasn't because, I'm a high school dropout, but I did get my GED. But yeah, in the mental institution, I got a GED. But anyway, so I knew they didn't know anything about class and they had that disdain for real people that do all the work that makes everything go. And because that's really what you learn. That's really what you learn in the universities, those things. But anyway,
You know what I said? Let me interrupt you quickly. One of my lines is that they should seize all the university endowments, which are the crystallization of privilege, and just
absolutely,
distribute that money as reparations. There you go.
absolutely. I
Take it
agree.
all.
Absolutely. Well, it's our money.
And they're
It's
the
our
most
it's our money they're using to, call us garbage.
right. And
I'm saying us even though I'm fabulously wealthy but I I but it's weird. It's a weird story. But no, I knew that when you're having a people's movement for money, it's
yeah.
never gonna fucking work. It's corrupted and bye bye. But when I ran for president in 2012, I put a lot of thought into it. And anyway, I was already moving away because when I went to speak, I was speaking about stand your ground gun laws in Florida, and the people there, the delegates I was speaking to for the Green Party, they was all silver-haired ponytail socialist Jewish men in there anyway. They were of all colors too, but they gripe my ass because they'd go, what about the illegal occupation? That shit. And I had mouthed that shit too till I read the Goldstone report and realized, oh my God, this is a worldwide MK Ultra centralized attack on a people. So I ran for president just to see how it was going to go and to find out where that was all coming from for myself. But anyway, the platform I had when Trump got in and I first heard him talk, he was saying a lot of the same things I had said, and my narcissism was so flattered. And I'm like, I'm for this guy. He's talking about the Federal Reserve just like I did. So my narcissism was just, oh my god, I was hooked in so many ways, you know?
I this is why this is why so many people are jealous of me that I get to hang out and talk with you. It never stops being funny, and you never know what's gonna come out of your mouth, and it's just such a joy. And half the time you're cracking yourself up because you just hear it come out. You're like, "Where did that come from? Who cares? I'm just gonna laugh at it. It's fun. We're all having a good
Oh,
time."
it's all absurd.
Yeah.
But, it's true though. Populism is, it's kinda like socialism, except for it fucking makes sense that the people's money stays with the people
Yes, yes.
and for the benefit of the people, by, of, and for the people. And so, that's what he's about, and that's what all my speeches were about. And I was really, you know, I just saw bing, the light went on, and I was like, this is the movement that everybody needs to get behind because it's about us. It's not
I
about them. It's not about our owners.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. Biden calls half America garbage. Trump gets the next day he's in a garbage truck, driving a garbage truck in a suit, in a garbage man's outfit. Kamala Harris apparently lied about working at McDonald's. He's working at McDonald's serving up fries. And he looked for a politician to not look like ridiculous in these two things, and he's a billionaire. This guy's never worked, been in a McDonald's, or he likes eating it, but he's not a McDonald's worker, to put it mildly. I thought it was hilarious.
Did a great job. The way they trained him, I was watching it and I was laughing too because I have worked all them jobs. While he was really, racking those fries up right in that bag real good. He was
Yeah.
ultra packing them too, and you love that when you get a little extra for your money. And he was sweet the way he was serving it to people because he loves people,
Yeah.
and, he does what he has done with love. He always says that, and people pick it up and they love him back, you know? And plus he makes them laugh, and that's such a disarming and powerful thing. It shows that there's a soul in there who can hold 2 disparate ideas at the
Yeah.
same time.
What do you you and I have both been on Rogan. What do you think of uh Kamala Harris's telling Joe, "Oh, if I'm going to do your show, you have to come here and I'm only going to give you an hour."
I thought it was hilarious that she would say that, but it's so typical and so arrogant and
Yeah.
ignorant. She thought he needed her after he
Right?
just had 100 million views for Trump. But then she goes on, Who's Your Daddy or whatever that shit show is with, I mean, she just she's really a narcissist, but she couldn't hold her own with any question
Yeah.
that he'd probably get there and she'd hand him a list of questions he
Yeah.
was to ask, I
Or things
figured,
that are
yeah.
off limits.
Right. So, we all knew she can't do a she can't even speak unless she's reading something.
And
And
even then,
so she's too dumb. Like I say, she's nothing but a hoochie gal. And, I think about how she must feel and laugh.
I don't think she wanted it. She might like the idea, but she would you don't want I wouldn't want that responsibility. That's I mean, hundreds of millions of people's lives. That's scary.
Yeah. I
She didn't
wonder,
seem hungry.
the donors wanted her.
Yeah.
Wall Street wanted her. I don't know if she wanted it or not. I don't know. You may be right.
Like, Hillary clearly is like Gollum. Hillary had the ring, she wants it
Yeah.
back at all costs. Kamala was going through the motions, but and she was doing what she was told, but she didn't seem like,
Yeah.
I need this."
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm sure she's relieved.
Maybe she's relieved. I don't know. She's one of a kind, that's for sure. You
I don't
never
think
see
that's true at all. I
anybody,
think she's very
like
generic.
like I say, she blew her way to the bottom. That must be pretty disappointing. But like I say, it's an insult that she blew her way to the middle before she lost so terribly, and now her blowjobs ain't even worth a quarter. But I say her blowing her way to the middle there is an insult to all the American women who were never asked to blow a guy for a promotion.
Do you know
But
that
you
old joke
know,
about the hooker comes back to the pimp and she hands over her cash? He's like, "Bitch, where's my money?" And she hands over $200.75. She goes, "275 cents? Who paid you in quarters?" She goes, "All of them."
I heard that. I heard it was the old Jewish woman joke, but
Oh,
to her husband.
it takes a lot for me to say a nice thing about the corporate press, but here's
Yeah.
one thing I will say.
What?
I think they did a good job in preparing their viewers for a possible loss by her. They didn't prepare them in 2016 and they were all
Yeah.
traumatized. This year, I think they were freaking out a lot less because they saw it was possible.
Well, when they did those, city halls or whatever and,
Mhm.
on CNN and they had all those people of color and they're all like, "Yeah, we're going with Trump."
Yeah.
They were shocked, but of course they'd have to vet them before they put them on, so I wondered about that too. Yeah, they were probably preparing them. Well,
Which
it was so stupid. The whole thing was so stupid when, you know, everything Biden did was complete like, what I think, but
yeah, yeah.
everything they did was so corrupt and so stupid, it's almost like it was a movie in order to wake Americans up from their slumber. It's almost as if
One
Q was right.
well, if Q was right, then I'd owe you $1,000 now would I? Wouldn't
Yeah,
I?
you do. 'Cause Q said, Q said that the Dems would have a change of batter,
Did
and
they?
he said that in 2017, and look at Biden and Kamala, it
Oh.
happened.
Um, one of the things you talk about in your books is what a big impact both your grandmothers had on you when you were growing up, and they're both very different from each other. Which one of them are you more like, and why?
Well, I'm like both of them.
Okay, in what way? Are you a
Uh,
landlord? A slumlord?
no, I'm not a slumlord, but I wanna be. No, well, one of them was, really good in the garden, and she was a salt of the earth type from Minneapolis. And, she could cook and, all that homemaking stuff, grandma stuff. She crocheted, made our clothes and stuff like that, and I like doing all that stuff. And my other grandma was, a Republican, and she was, a slumlord. Well, she lived in the tenement building she owned and rented to, like, really crazy people. Mostly drunk veterans and, Basque men. But anyway, she was a big Torah student.
Okay.
So I'm like the both of them. 'em.
What
I'm half and half.
what else I'm curious about is you grew up in Salt Lake City or outside Salt Lake City. Why do you talk like you're from Brooklyn?
I do?
The accent, it's like a Brooklyn accent. It's not a Salt
It
Lake
is?
accent.
No, it is?
It doesn't you sound like an old Dodgers fan.
Really?
Yes.
I thought I sound like a Utah.
Well, maybe
Um,
I don't know what a Utahn sounds like.
well, they sound like me except for the women, well, maybe they don't sound like me.
I don't think anyone sounds like you.
Well, that's probably true too. But, like, in Utah, my sister says she can always tell if it's a Mormon when on the phone, like, if she calls someplace and, you can tell if it's a Mormon from Utah because they'll say, like, when she calls up the phone company, they go, "Mountain Bell, can I help you?" So they do talk like that, and they say, "Pictures, would you like to look at some pictures I have of my family?" So, yeah, they do say that, and they go, "We're going down to worship the Lord."
But you don't talk like that.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I talk like this, but I always have, I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm Utah-like, but maybe I ain't.
Thanks that maybe I ain't. It sounds like you had a cigar.
Yeah, I know, I feel like George Burns these days.
Yeah. You mean because he's God?
Oh, I love that movie.
Of
I
course.
I thought, "Damn, they should remake that movie and have me play that part."
Why don't you do that?
Well, 'cause, I'm blacklisted and whitelisted. I moved up from just being blacklisted.
Ho
Now I'm whitelisted too.
Where are
So
you
I
whitelisted?
well, I can't, the black people are like, "You're a racist," all that bullshit.
Yeah.
I used to have anyway, I won't go into that.
But then where are you whitelisted, though? What do you mean?
Well, whitelisted means no blacks will come on my podcast
Oh, is that
'cause
true?
I'm a racist.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Uh-huh.
You had Monique at least.
Well, I've had a few black people that are friends, but, you know, uh, it's definitely like I think people will be shunned like we're the big
Yeah, yeah.
Amish. People will be shunned if they talk to me because, I got the big scarlet R on my forehead.
Pure exploitation, ineptly made, and completely repulsive.
Hi, I'm Bobcat Goldthwait,
And I'm Sean McKittrick.
and Zero Stars is our podcast where we look at our bad reviews and
The bad reviews of anybody who will join us here. Michael McKean, Eddie Wong.
Welcome, Eli.
Feels like a film that's shown up to the party over a decade after it ended.
listen to, follow, rate, and review Zero Stars now. Do my bidding. And you can do that wherever you get your podcast.
Let's get back to the show. When I do your show in a couple of weeks, I'll have to tell everyone the story of how I trolled Michael Fishman. But I want your opinion on something that happened on social media. He played DJ on Roseanne, and he sent out a tweet and this is, by the way, one of the things that's great about you. And I think this says a lot about Hillary said this even about Trump. She was asked in 2016, "What's your favorite thing about him?" And she goes, "The way he keeps his family together." They,
Yeah,
they all
that was kind of her.
they all really love each other, and she's like, that says something. And I thought that was really kind of cool of her. So Michael, again, he played DJ on Roseanne, and he had tweeted out yelling at Rogan. On Rogan, on your platform, you speak about me and others diminishing our character without a chance to respond. Given you removed Tony Hinchcliffe from shows, that's not true. He never has. Perhaps you finally have perspective, have a full, fair, honest conversation, or issue an apology. ... As if you're in a position to put Joe, what the two choices are. And your daughter, and this is what I love, when the kids show their true colors, what they think of mom behind the scenes. Your daughter Jenny goes, in all caps, God bless her. She goes, "This is exactly what you and the entire cast of Roseanne did to my mom. Delete my comment again, and I will repost for eternity."
That's cool. That's cool. I didn't know she did that. That's awesome.
Well, any thoughts about that whole exchange?
Here's the best part. Nobody ever they always wanted to fire Michael Fishman, but I wouldn't let them because I cared for him as a child and as a man. I hired him for jobs when he couldn't get one when the show was down. And I made them bring him back. They didn't want to bring him back in the rerun thing, the remake or the reboot. And I made them, and I worked with him to help him to deliver a line better when they would be bitching about him. And then he took his tweet out of me, and he knows I have black people in my family too, and he agreed that I was a racist on Twitter, and they fired me and that whole thing, him and Sarah Gilbert. And so first thing they did when they came back, fire Michael Fishman.
Oh wow!
you know
But
I mean, talk about biting the hand that feeds you, but that's how they are because they are just their arrogance blinds them to reality. And I just thought, well, if that ain't karma, I don't know what is.
I think you probably may not be aware of this because you're in the center of it. I think now, 4 years later, how many years later?
Seven.
7 people are looking back and be like, what did we, how did this happen? Like, it's just, it's more and more in retrospect is looked at as ridiculous. And especially, I told you this line, if you're going to write a book about it, which I've been pushing you to do, it's like, if you were this big racist, they'd know, because when is the last time you were able to keep your mouth shut? And if you weren't right, it's like it's not like you keep your opinions to yourself. This is Roseanne. That's what she's known for. And if she was this big racist, why are you working with her to begin with? And if she's not, one comment, you're gonna erase 20 years of knowing somebody? That makes no sense.
Well, 20 years of being a civil rights activist and
Yes.
for demanding that they integrate my crew and get black writers and black actors after that, which they all always opposed. And I can't even tell you the racist shit I've heard from liberals. Everybody sees it now.
Yeah.
But what they're saying, like, well, black people don't know how to get ID, you
Yeah.
know, that kind of shit.
Right.
But yeah, then they line up to say, boy, you're a racist. And they don't even understand my tweet, which was pretty prophetic because, I said they were empowering, that the Obama administration was empowering Iran and it was going to come for Israel. And October 7th, that happened. And nobody ever went, oh, Roseanne, what you were talking about in that conversation of 3 months, of which they excerpted one tweet, you were right. Well, they never say I'm right, but I always am right because I read a lot.
Yeah.
I
Folks,
talk to a lot of people, and I care about the truth because I'm a comic. If you don't have truth, you can't be a comic.
that's right. Yeah. The basic comedy is like, okay, you realize something the audience subconsciously realize that you bring it to their consciousness.
Well, you try to make them see it with that. You try to bring two severed parts together. That's how you get a laugh, You have to have more than one fucking thought in your goddamn being.
I have to put on my honorary son hat.
Oh, I love it. What?
No, this is bad. You're
Oh,
you're in your 70s, you just had COVID. Are do
I'm
your kids?
smoking. Are you
Yeah,
fucking gonna go there?
I
God
am
damn.
gonna everyone worries about your
It
kids.
kills the fucking spike proteins.
What does that even mean?
Nicotine kills spike proteins. I've got to smoke because of all these fucking shedders that ran out and got you know what.
You can get nicotine through other mechanisms than cigarettes.
If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Okay, I just would have felt irresponsible if I didn't say something because people.
I know everybody fucking says it. I know. My grandkids are like, please, Mimi, and all that shit. I'm like, fuck off, you little bastard.
Well, you can say everything you want, but these people care about you and want you here as long as possible. So
They
that's
should
all.
listen. I'm worth more dead than alive, and they'll be happy of that someday soon.
That's not true at all, and you know it. Despite that great bit you have in your act about what notes you're gonna leave. That's my favorite part of your new act. Dear mom, well, I hope you're fucking happy.
My suicide notes.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll quit tomorrow. I told everybody I'm quitting on is tomorrow Monday?
No,
What's today?
tomorrow's Sunday, today's Saturday.
Monday I'm quitting.
Are you?
I promise. I swear.
Is it like
Monday
Mark
I'm
Twain where he
quitting.
said smoking's the easiest thing to quit? I do it all the time.
Well, I have quit 50 times. I
Oh.
counted. One time for 15 years.
Oh.
But it always draws me back. I just fucking love it. I told my sister, if I ever get hit by a bus and I'm laying there dying, run over there fast and stick a cigarette in my mouth.
Do you get like checkups though?
For what?
For your health?
Uh,
That's a
no,
no.
I stay away from them because I don't want bad news.
That's real okay. Yeah. Okay. Folks, head over to malice.locals.com where Roseanne took questions from you, the fans. One of the funniest things, I was backstage with you when you were here, and your grandsons, who are both us coming up comics, were in the crowd, and you go, I'm going to hit him from the stage. Just you wait. And then you're doing your act, and you go, and they call you, hey, Eton, what do they call you on the internet? An incel?
That was a good one, huh?
I was dying.
Yeah, the other one just came out to me. Oh my God, this was something. One of my grandsons, I got 7 of them, and he just came out to me and he said, uh, Granny, I'm coming out to you, and I'm gay. And I don't want to get in trouble for what I said. But I says,
What'd you
you
tell
mean,
me? He's going to
huh?
hell? Did you tell me he's going to hell?
I says, you're a F? And he goes, yeah, I'm an F. And I go, God, I was wondering how come none of you was Fs. And I go, that is so great. I go, I'm going to call my brother right now. He's a big F. He's a socialist professor of sociology there at Oakland and Berkeley and all that shit. And I said, he's going to be so proud. And so we called my brother and he was like, oh, I'm so thrilled that the F gene made its way through our family. It's so wonderful. And so this and that. And I said, you know what? I was waiting for one of y'all to tell me you were one of them, that you were gay, because I have had it in my head my whole life of what I would say to them if they was going to come out, you know. And so I finally got to say it because I've really waited because, you know, half my family's gay
Yeah.
and, and lesbian. And so I got to say it to my grandson and I said, here's what I have to say to you. Your sexuality is the least interesting thing about you. And I want you to remember that. The most interesting thing about you is that you got good at something, you developed your creativity, your talent, and that you cared about other people. That's the most interesting thing. So, you know, I want you to remember that. And it's not all that cool. It's every day. And, you know, uh, don't have any fucking drama, okay? Don't bring no fucking drama here. Just stay cool and develop your talent.
Before we did this yesterday, I was watching YouTube. It had a top 20 moments from Roseanne season 5, and you're in the kitchen with Darlene, and you're like, "It turns out Nancy's a lesbian," and Darlene goes, "Oh, did she tell you?" You go, "No, she just had a 'I'm a big old' bumper sticker on her car."
Yeah, I remember when my sister came out, I remember when my brother came out and my sister, that was something else. But I've had a lot of experience with that, and, you know, like I say, you know, I got a lot of gay people and trans people and all these kind of people, and, you know, I got a United Nations family, and so what? Whatever. It's about whether you're a decent person and how you act. You know, that's what it is, right?
I think what people don't realize is even when you were like Green Party left or you're a MAGA Republican, you're still that bleeding heart hippie underneath where you care about people who don't have that much and don't have anyone advocating for them and how they're shit on in this country.
Well, I think that, you know, over my years of television and notoriety and all that, I did hear from so many people who said, you know, something on my show or something I said, whatever was meaningful in their life at the time they needed it, which is really cool to hear because that's what I intended. But it occurred to me at one point, hey, you're kind of like the mom of all the broken.
Oh yeah.
And I think, you know, that's how I feel. I feel honored to be that. And you know, it's good.
Yeah,
It's
because like
good.
Roseanne Connor, like sometimes the kids were a mess, but they never questioned her love for them. She's like, "You're
No,
still my daughter, and I'm still gonna be here for you, even though I call you a loser."
right?
Yeah.
That is with my kids too. Like you know, I got, you know, my 3 daughters. They're in menopause. Oh my god, that's when you know you're old, when you got 3 daughters in menopause. But you know, they're all Kamala lovers. And I'm like, oh my god. But of course I love them, you know, and we just agree to not talk about it. But which is hard for me. But you know, I still get back at them, but you know, they won't know that I got back at them. through the grandkids till probably a few months, till Trump takes office. But I got all my grandkids loving Trump, and I go, don't tell your moms. I'm not going to give up.
I can't wait to see you in a few weeks and do your show in makeup. We're gonna have so much fun.
I love you so much.
Uh,
You're just so cool. You're the coolest.
that's the other thing that I tell people, that you don't realize when you say something like that, what an effect it has on people. Like, you think it's just a compliment. You don't realize what it means to have Roseanne Barr say this to you. Like, you don't.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
It's
And
true.
it means a lot to me.
Roseanne, we're running out of time. What has been your
Okay.
favorite part of this interview?
Oh, when I listen back to myself, I'm
You
sure I'll be thrilled and just go, God, it's just amazing that, all you've been through and you still are just so fucking hot. Really. I love me, and I love listening to myself. I can't tear my eyes off myself. I am a great invention of me.
you are welcome.
I love reality TV on Pluto TV.
Same, and I love that it's free.
It gives me the freedom to watch Bravo's Real Housewives Vault channel.
I'm totally free to watch Bad Girls Club.
I'm free for Jersey Shore.
Love and hip hop, I'm free all day.
Survivor, I'm free all night.
With hundreds of free reality shows, you are totally free to watch what you love on Pluto TV.
Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.